back. We just concluded our leadership speaker series earlier, specific to the topic of women and women empowerment, featuring NCIP chairperson Jennifer Sibug Las, also commonly known as Boi Bai Limpayen among the Indigenous peoples group. In this specific video, we're going to talk about the impact of professional project management in the context of the engagements that she's able to do, especially as a public appointed officer and also as a national commission chairperson and also as a community leader. How is her project management skills being applied and influencing her leadership style and or her management style? Pag-usapan natin yan. Welcome back, Ryan pa yun. So, nagkaroon tayo ng break. Then we talk about projects. We have done so many projects. So one, the international project that we did before with Galing Foundation, with the Fernbelt Museum, everything was so smooth, right? That was a long-term one. Then we did another cultural featuring the Obu Monovo documentation that was a virtual, but you've also engaged in so many projects. And you mentioned earlier during the time that we are on break on how project management have actually helped you professionally and personally in your function. I wanted to hear from you more.
And thank you, Sis Arjo. Yeah, again, you just didn't want to share to the world, but I'm your mentee. And I'm just actually proud that you're my mentor, especially in the project management. You know very well how it helped me, especially during the pandemic when we were able to implement the Oplan Bayanihan for stranded IPs. It was an effort, it was a collaborative effort, a convergence conducted by most or if not all national government agencies just to address the issues and concerns of our fellow Filipino people, most especially our stranded indigenous peoples in Manila.
Yes.
And during that time, you know very well that Metro Manila was just like a ghost city where no one else could be found on the streets, but just NCIP and the security sectors and all the government agencies that really helped us, reach out and deliver all those hygiene kits or those food packs and those assistance that were intended to be given to our indigenous peoples who again were stranded in Metro Manila. So we were able to, raise the awareness that the NCIP had done countless efforts in just to perform its mandate, most especially during those trying times. So, project management really helped me in before the inception stage as well, up to the monitoring phase where we were able to, just conduct all these stages and be able to, finish it successfully with all our partners. And then, the IPs were, especially those that were stranded, were really satisfied with our services when they saw that NCIP, together with its government agency partners, really helped reach out to them in order to, again, address their necessities and provide them the essentials for their sustainability in here in Metro Manila during the pandemic or during the lockdown.
Yes, and there were also some projects. Remember the relief assistance to Isabela and to some other groups. And
Yes,
you were
the
able to
piso
engage.
para sa Isabela.
Yes.
Diba? Like we had to travel 12 hours
Yes.
Manila just to reach Isabela and bring all those donations coming from the Plaan community.
Yes,
To
but the
IB.
virtual team members who made it happen. They're from different parts of the world and they were able to contribute. I'm here in Atlanta, the one is in Singapore, one is in another country, but we were able to mobilize supporters, local and
And
international.
Josica was the one really
Jessica,
doing all
yes,
the coordination with the different stakeholders. So I'm just glad we were able to implement it together with
the blonde level
some
of group.
yeah some
transform.
stakeholders also and some NGOs and CSOs who really opted to help.
So now
So
that you
yes.
are NCIP chairperson, how is your project management experience and all of this knowledge, all of these concepts that you learned, how are you able to implement it in a very practical way in your role as a chairperson for the so many varied programs? You know, you are like acting like the portfolio manager because you're top of the agency, right? But there's so many programs, there's so many projects. You have to prioritize given a meager resource, given the lean organizational structure, given the constraint, financial constraint especially, and the disparity of budget with respect to other national government agencies. How are you able to use your leadership in all of this? Couple your project management skills.
Yes. As I was telling my mentor, Sis Arjo, a while ago, that, learning to tie the ropes is really based on my lessons learned from the project management that you have shared with me. Again, I would always look for Gantt charts every time that, there are proposals. I would also look for WBS, the work, is that
Work
work
breakdown structure.
breakdown structure? Yes,
Yeah,
work breakdown
WBS.
structure, because when these principles are all, articulated in one document, you're able to monitor how to get things done. And then you'd know when the deadline would be, how the implementation would be,
You know the roadmap
um, yeah,
with
the roadmap actually to
visualization.
execute the program up to its monitoring stage. So it was easier for me actually to go about it. And it has made my life as chairperson easier. Looking at the figures every time that proposals are submitted to me, and when there are plans and programs and projects that we would want to have in place, these principles should, just appear and should be articulated in documents, so much so that it will, guide us on how to move forward with this all these stages of this project or program. So
And in addition to that, I think
make the life
I would
easier.
yeah, it's
Yes.
made your life easier. But in addition to that, the key is that you understand the heart of the project, and project implementation is stakeholder engagement and
Yes.
communicating to the stakeholders. And I know that you have that innate in you. So it is not a barrier, right? It is not becoming a barrier. I think your most constraint is finance. And with
Yes.
the lean
Yeah,
and
with the
finance and
meager budget that we have,
uh-huh,
especially now, given that there's like more than 300 plus million of budget cut in our proposal, we really had to, be agile when it comes to looking at our budget as of the moment. But again, we had to do
prioritization.
some modifications
Yes,
and then some prioritization that
yes,
will be able to just be able to achieve our targets given the resources that we have right now.
yes.
And of course, just as what you've said, the framework of ICC has been really it has been institutionalized in my system,
Mhm.
most especially in project management. It's all about, information, communication, and connection. That you're not able to really accomplish things without stakeholders' engagement. It's the heart of everything that we do. One cannot do it alone. And I admit, almost all of the time, I would, articulate this to my NCIP colleagues that this is not the work of one person, but the
Yes,
whole workforce of agency together with our partner agencies, our partner CSOs, and our partner, the indigenous peoples, that we are able to, successfully um, come up with these policies, programs, and projects that are able to help us in performing our mandate. So again, it boils down to going back to the principles of project management and how you're able to practice it in your daily
daily
life.
life. And you know,
Oo.
whenever we talk about it, stakeholder engagement, the key point that we've talked about is that stakeholder engagement should be starting from the initiating phase,
Yes,
from the
definitely.
initiating phase, especially of any project and or any initiative. Because we talked about it, that most of the time, the fault is that most of these projects, they're engaging indigenous peoples only at a particular period of time when they're
Exactly.
having a problem. Why engage the indigenous peoples when you're already having a problem, and then the problem is already very hard to solve back because they were not engaged from the very very start when this has been initiated and or conceptualized and or crafted. And that's why we are trying to advocate that stakeholder engagement has to start from the inception stage, and it has to
Exactly.
increase at a particular period of, not that you will only engage indigenous peoples when you have problem with your project.
Exactly. And my mentor, Sis Arjo, that is why it's very common now that we usually engage our partners through an instrument. It's through a memorandum of agreement or memorandum of understanding or memorandum of cooperation, because at the inception stage,
Yes.
all the stakeholders should be, discussing on how to go about these projects, what are the roles, responsibilities,
Mhm.
and what are those provisions that should be our
Got it.
mantra
Yeah.
in implementing this project. So again, in stakeholders relationship, it should start at the inception stage. And
Mhm.
that's our advocacy since time
Yes.
immemorial, diba?
Yes.
No, you just don't contact us or you just don't engage us when you're already implementing the project.
Yes.
Dapat
Yes.
during the inception stage, we're
Kasama.
already part of the voice
Part.
that is, articulating what should be the advocacy or what the indigenous people's participation should be or what
There's
should CIP be doing in order to
ownership.
promote,
There is
yeah,
there is
ownership.
co-ownership. There's co-ownership so
Yes,
that
co-ownership.
responsibility is spread across and not just
Yes,
by the few. And then so
yes.
that it's the pain will not be absorbed by the few, and the others are just going to be very happy.
Yes, exactly. And it's going to be a burden for NCIP at the last part of the project when
Mhm.
you just engage them during the implementation stage and we're not able to really articulate what the role of NCIP should be
And
and
the worst
what
part,
responsibility and the most part like we're just here to just help them implement the project. Oh, when hindi kami guided also with what we should do. So
or
that's
even
why
the worst part even, boys, that they blame NCIP
they
because
blame
NCIP
NCIP
is
in the
the
long run.
bottleneck, and it is
Yes.
not simply
No,
fair.
that's not,
Not
yes.
simply fair. I've seen that. I've been a government worker before, and they're complaining. And my thing is that, did you really engage NCIP from the very start? If NCIP understands what you're doing, you should not be at least having problems and troubles in engaging the community members from the IP communities. But you're always making, you have a perception already of NCIP as your enemy. You did not make,
Thank you.
if you think the NCIP is resistant, you did not make an effort to make NCIP from a resistant role to a cooperative role. You
Yes,
increased
definitely.
and widened the gap. So what we're trying to say is that, NCIP is there just like an office, just like in any one agency, but you have to engage them from the very start. So there will be team buy-in of whatever you're trying to do.
Yes.
And then, so in so many of my, mentees in project management, JM, I have not met JM. JM, he's community based, but I know that he has a talent. So I was trying to mentor him from time to time and started. Now he has a sponsor. Most of his sponsors for his project is also a mentee that I don't wanted to
Yeah,
mention the name.
yes.
I don't wanted to mention the name just for privacy and requesting the request of a person. But one mentee is sponsoring and another mentee is implementing, but it's the same concept. It's maybe heavy, but you contextualize it to the core things that is just needed, which
Yes,
is stakeholder engagement from the very start, transparency,
exactly.
trustworthiness,
Mm-hmm.
openness. These are all like predictive and combination of agile project management practices that you have to fuse into one to make your project successful. So I think in our experience of collaborating since 2019, we did not have a failed project.
Exactly.
Our Lots of our projects are small but high impact, you know, focused but with global touch.
Yes, definitely.
Focused but with global touch because we are able to engage international stakeholders, and their engagement is because of trust and confidence with the work that we do, with the work that we do.
I think
So,
that's very important, trust and confidence.
mm,
In everything that we do, we're just able to engage people when
mm,
they trust us
mm. So,
because they don't if they can see our significance and our importance in the project, therefore, they'll just shoo us away. But because they see that we're also grounded, at the same time, we can be trustworthy when it comes to fostering impacts in our projects, and they're able to engage us and
yes,
see how it's going to impact
and
others in
other
the
people.
making. Yes.
Remember our talk before about, potentially indigenous peoples has to really showcase their own indigenous cultural attires, the aspirations of all of that. And now you're seeing it happening naturally. And then you took really the liberty of making sure that when you come to your IP community, you patronize the product of the cultural master that is from that community. And they see you wear it. And they were inspired and they were encouraged that if the commissioner is wearing what I wear, what I make, others will also be enjoined to do the same. And I think that's what we say is like in Agile, we say that show, not tell. We are showing that this is how it is, not necessarily telling people, but people are taking action and people are doing it themselves. And that's what I said earlier. I featured a whole lot of photos of you earlier because in all of this, I'm gonna share again that the photos that we had of you, like when you were doing all of these engagements for different communities, all of these indigenous attires that you have, that you wear, they are a representation of, you might not be able to, there's Blaan, there's Boli, there's different indigenous peoples group. You yourself is a national representation that these are what our different indigenous peoples groups in the Philippines are wearing, and you are showing it to the whole Philippines, to the whole government leadership. I saw you even doing it when you are doing your presentations in the Senate and or in the congressional, in the House of Congress of the Philippines, in your office when you receive dignitaries, local dignitaries and or international government officials, you are wearing a particular attire and or outfit that has something cultural in them from a specific cultural group. So you are patronizing the products of the community, and so many IPs are seeing that, and so many IPs right now are taking the initiative that if you did it, we can also do it. So this is just really an example of a project that is beyond the school of living tradition. Beyond the skills transfer, there's a continuity because now indigenous peoples make profit out of that specific skills transfer in the community themselves. So thank you. You yourself is a product.
Looking at all these photos, sabi ko, parang ini-stalk ako ng mentor ko, ah. She's checking me out.
I know. I'm telling you, like, thank you to Facebook. I'm able to see what you're doing and the things that we have talked. You are implementing it, and I love this. This is what I said that I really appreciated how NCIP has evolved and has come into the national picture of the Philippines, especially during the pandemic, because NCIP was not sleeping. And then
Thank
NCIP
you.
used the
Well,
technology.
everybody was resting and inside their homes. NCIP was out,
Was
addressing the
out. So
concerns of stranded indigenous Filipinos in Metro Manila. and
exactly.
some
And
other parts of the country.
I have not seen that before. As I said, I have not seen that before. But with the use of technology, we have to thank the communications technologies that we have now, that indigenous peoples have equal access to them. They're able to make it happen. So,
Even
I
our
share,
media friends, even our
yes,
media friends were really present during that time to witness how we were able to, deliver all these donations to our fellow IPs in Manila. So we're
because
just glad
remember,
that they also supported it. One of our stakeholders in
mm,
this project, Sis Arjo.
that this was NCCA when I
Our
visited
visit to NCCA.
NCCA in 2020.
And these are the Gamma Bag guys
Yes, the
as
Gawad sa
up to the
Mandilikan
moment.
team.
Except that I think Carl is no longer there, but Sir Roche and Sir Ross are still with the Gamma Bag
Gawad.
Secretariat.
Mhm.
I'm just
But
glad we were able to meet him before I got in as chairperson, because now I'm one of the council members of the Gawad sa Mandilikan Bayan.
okay, awesome. Well, you are with Ma'am Marian Pastor Roses, which is a mentor. This
Yes.
is my mentor
Yes.
as well.
Yeah,
But
and
you
the
see,
rest of the council members, there's uh Dato Felipe De Leon,
uh-huh,
si Commissioner Reden Ulo.
uh-huh.
Oh, marami pa.
Oh,
There's, I think, 7 of us or
oh.
more than 7.
And
Yes.
also, I wanted to really thank you that you listened to us when we're trying to say the Blaan spelling. Nako, walang kamatayan na
Oo
Blaan
naman.
spelling na yan. Yes.
Mentor kita eh.
So this is
Oo.
look at this diversity of the women. This is what I'm saying, the beautiful diversity of all of this. If these women, if more of this, these are a product of the School of Living Tradition or the skills transfer. But before we are no longer going to be tagged as, oh, where are you going? Are you going to perform? We
Or
are we are wearing our traditional attire just like you're
higher.
wearing your own, suit and or your gown and stuff. This is our kind of like thing, how beautiful that is. And then again, this is was your time earlier, our project here in Atlanta. That is I think maybe that was your first international project
Yes.
in partnership with the Philippine Honorary Consulate Office of Atlanta through the Galing Foundation. So we made it all happen. We even before you came, and then when you came, we just turned over to the Fernbank Museum with the team, and this is us.
Yeah.
It
Sis,
was
I hope you're able also to share the what do you call this? Those attires when they were showcased in the
I,
what's that?
in the
Museum?
Fernbank Museum. Yeah, there are,
A
but
Fernbank Museum.
the photos are vertical. It will not fit
Ah,
the
okay, yes.
it
Okay,
will not fit
understandable.
it will not fit the I don't know the screen. So if you
Yes.
notice, all of the photos are just horizontal because most of
Mm-hmm.
those photos at the Fernbank Museum, they are like vertical in nature. So,
Okay.
but anyways, these are really like examples of projects that like we were part of, that we were engaged of, and I'm just happy that the time that we were able to to talk about something, you just made it happen. And my
Manifesting.
yeah, yeah, my role is just to really like be of assistance for things that you would need. And I'm ready if you have questions. I am just one click away. And if we have to do brainstorming, we just click on and call each other and then talk each other. We do things and then strategize. And that's how we do things. And that's how our mentoring is kind of like really not super rigid and structured. It's very flexible. It's very
Yes, very
adaptive. It's very
flexible.
very
True.
very adaptive, very agile. But we know that we are doing something that is greater than ourselves and greater than the organizations we represent, and we are engaging so many people along the way. So I'm happy to know
Amen.
that.
Yes, and
So I'm just so happy that while I help also professionals on how to pass their PMP exam, uh, the more important thing for me is that how to use these concepts, apply it,
application.
apply it properly in real scenario, and make projects successful and not failure, because the
Yes.
frustrations of so many indigenous communities indigenous peoples are projects that are mismanaged, especially with respect to finances, and or not implemented fully. There are so many projects that are just hanging and left behind, and projects that are not totally engaging the indigenous communities.
Yes.
So that is why there's always this kind of problem, and we're trying to bridge that gap. So maraming salamat, bong salamat, yes, and for
Yes, and
yes, and for sharing your project management experience. And then it's so good. There's so more. Your leadership style is so agile, but I'm
it is.
happy that
It is.
yeah, I'm happy that you know how the predictive project management approach is applicable in so many areas that you know is needed, and you're able to leverage your knowledge to influence informed decision making,
Yes.
informed decision making to impact your organization better. So great
Yes,
job,
and
NCIP. Yes, and
thank you
that
very much.
that
She's
ends
also my
our
mentor. Yeah. Mm.
Bong salamat, my friend, and forever we will be, no matter what hat we wear and in whatever engagements we do, this is part of us. This is part of
Yes.
who we are, that we engage our community members, and we hope we could find partners who would be willing to trust us because we know that we can manage, we can initiate, we can conceptualize, we can plan, we can implement, we can monitor, we can close
Project.
meaningful, impactful projects
Projects.
because we know what we are doing, right?
Yes, and
Yes,
yes,
sir.
and
Bye bye. Hope you
bye.
all have learned about project management. So, if you wanted to ask insights from the NCIP Chairwoman Limpayen, she is a very good person. If you wanted to reach out to me, please do. I'm very happy for engagement. If you wanted training, agile project management, predictive project management, hybrid project management, or using specific agile practices like Scrum and so many other things, that is the forte that I could offer for you and your community. Just reach out.
Yes,
Yes,
and
and bye bye.
bye. Thank you.